WTF! WTF!
Bon qui, je m'appelle Ross Twiddle from Cultaholic.com, you're a sexual wank pheasant, and welcome to all the WTF moments from the first ever episode of WWE Raw in the Paul Heyman era, and bloody hell, spank my arse and call me Gertrude wasn't a step in the right direction. From the opening segment to the people looking directly into the cameras while cutting a promo, doesn't that make a big difference? To AJ Styles turning heel and reforming the club, to Samoa Joe looking like a bona fide badass, a challenger for Kofi Kingston's WWE Championship, to the swearing commentators, and to the bad bollock crazy stuff way back from the 1990s. I really enjoyed last night's Raw, you know. Good. Dun 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 dun. So it's the new era in WWE, like an actual new era on Monday Night Raw, and not just the poxy bollocks they spouted towards the arse end of last year. Raw is Heyman, Heyman is Raw, his thighs rubbing together, he's chafing, he's on fire. What's in store with this brand new version of Monday Night Raw with a Maverick like Paul Heyman at the helm? Who bloody cares, because Kevin Dunn sabotaged that bastard right from the get-go. We saw things we simply should not have seen as Kevin Dunn ruined the Monday Night Raw debut of the Street Profits. Or did Kevin Dunn ruin the Monday Night Raw debut of the Street Profits? I'm gonna tickle your scrotums right now, you sexual wank pheasants. Was this one of those moments that you at home think you weren't supposed to see, but you see anyway, and you think to yourself, oh, did I just see what I actually thought I saw? Was it one of those? Who knows? I think it might have been, you know. Let's hope Paul Heyman wasn't smoking the Sweet Mary Jane with Rob Van Dam before last night's Raw took the air, because that there, Paul, it's not the answer. It never has been, and it never will be. Unless, of course, Paul, you want Monday Night Raw to be how to be a great dad while also being a massive creepy one. Was anybody else thinking, wow, they're giving away Bobby Lashley versus Braun Strowman in a false count anywhere match 2 weeks before Extreme Rules? What the hell have they got planned for Extreme Rules? I cannot work it out, boys and girls. Why the hell would you give this match away 2 weeks before an event where you're promoting Extreme Rules matches? I tell you what though, Jon Moxley might have made this match happen all by himself at Fyre Fest on Saturday by proving beyond a shadow of a doubt that WWE properly PG'd him up. But as for Extreme Rules, in 2 weeks, it must be going to be Triple X Dream Rules, with all the piss and the shizer and the whips and the chains. I can't wait. Now, I'm not making this a grave mistake, because in my opinion it was 100% intentional and 150% effective. It was absolutely fantastic. Now, we all know how bad Kevin Dunn is, but when have WWE not sent an announcer when they've sworn on the air? Taz on SmackDown way back in the day, Matt Striker at every Royal Rumble he commentated, going holy shit. It happens, you know. Now, of course, Paul Heyman will get all the credit coming his way, but whoever let that fly on last night's Raw, a can of Coke to you and your friends, because Corey Graves saying holy sugar, honey, ice and tea before a period of dead air took an already awesome crash through the Titantron to another level. There was pyro and everything, and the way they lingered on that shot there with Corey Graves and 25 other men losing their bananas was fantastic. Finally, Raw felt Raw for the first time in many Raws. More of this Raw, please, Raw. But when Corey Graves came back to the announce table and said there's power lines and power cords back there and I smell burning, did anybody else imagine Vince McMahon backstage losing his bananas, saying things like this? I like my beef raw! I don't like it well done! Look at all that beef! Maggle, 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 maggle. And here's an unbelievable direct quote from Maggle Cole from last night's episode of WWE Raw. WWE does everything it can to ensure the safety of its superstars. Except give them health insurance, Maggle, because that bollocks, it costs money, doesn't it?
What she say? Say, shut up, Renee. What she say? Say, shut up, Renee.
Now, she must have been allowed to say this because she cannot have gone rogue and said such a mental word to describe a local medical facility. That's a term everybody in real life uses. Nobody says hospital, but Renee Young on last night's Raw, she called that local medical facility a hospital, and why would she use such an archaic word? For God's sake, man, Renee, this was our one. Hour one! 3 signs in Dallas, Texas for Cultaholic at last night's WWE Raw. Thank you very much to Colby Trice, to Egghead, and to that Taco Boy 2002 for spreading the good name of Cultaholic throughout the WWE Universe. Next time you go do what they did. Maggle Cole before the commercial break, speaking like this. Obviously concerned the two of his colleagues are in grave danger, and inside a hospital / local medical facility. Michael Cole just after that same commercial break. Extreme Rules, sponsored by WWE Universe. Isn't it so cool, guys? Assemble your own roster. Isn't it so cool? How many times have WWE booked some sort of inconsistency that would have required us fans to forget something that happened 5 minutes ago? Finally, we know why. Michael Cole has the memory of Dory the fish. Paul, and Eric kill the wild card rule with Fireman. And next up, we have Michael Cole claiming that Xavier Woods was working the shaft, blowing on Francesca 2. Now, I couldn't find a record of the history of Francescas anywhere on Google, and I was shocked by that, but I'm sure that Francesca 2 died, and Francesca 2 was replaced by Francesca Battlestar Galactica, or Francesca Turbo, or Warp Speed, or something like that. It's definitely not Francesca 2 Maggle. But if one of you know, let me know, because I want to know, but I couldn't know. And then we have Maggle saying the Revival should be watching the Viking Raiders. I should all of the teams on Monday Night Raw. Why just there, Maggle? Have you not heard of the wildcard rule? It's just so swell and so easy to follow. Paul, and Eric kill the endless stretch of 2 out of 3 full matches with Fireman. Well, the Street Profits are now buggered on the main roster in WWE because Montez Ford stood there on last night's Raw and claimed that he wants the smoke. He wants the smoke. What the hell's the smoke? Now, I have no idea what the smoke is, but I do know that smoking can stunt lung growth in teens, making it harder for you to be the legit boss. That's the real cost. While you may be the best in this world, said The Undertaker, who was apparently doing his best Jeremy Clarkson impression. But when all is said and done here, we have The Undertaker, who is perhaps the toppiest man in terms of WWE legends in the history of the company, calling Shane McMahon legitimately the best in his world, which is our world, which is the world where I live, which is the world which I need. I can't even talk. I'm that anxious. I need to get off because The Undertaker actually called Shane McMahon the best in the world, and life's not worth living anymore. So I've been Ross from Cultaholic.com, and I'll see you. So after that confusing promo from The Undertaker, where The Undertaker himself confused not only himself, but everybody watching, we still don't know why The Undertaker appeared last week to save Roman Reigns. We just know he's going to take Shane McMahon and Drew McIntyre down to Sunderland. Hell, that thing appeared there where the question was asked, would Seth Rollins and Becky Lynch's personal relationship interfere with the professional one? No! There was no chance of that happening until some boffin backstage in WWE decided we had to make this relationship canon and then tell the fans watching every single one of our shows that Becky Lynch and Seth Rollins are boyfriend and girlfriend a million times a pissing show. How many weeks has this been going on now? 2 or 3 maybe? And I still don't know who has gained anything from us knowing that Becky Lynch and Seth Rollins are in a relationship. And next up we have a WTF moment from big baldy bastard Baron Corbin's promo, but who cares about any of that? Because just look at how sexy that Chrome Dome is! But according to big baldy bastard Baron Corbin, that Extreme Rules match benefits those two numpties there more than it does Seth and Becky, because those two there, they cross all of the lines, like TNA, while they also know the lengths that Seth Rollins will go to keep his Universal Championship. Why risk it all for the latest fling? Big baldy bastard Baron Corbin said, moments after he said that he and Lacey know fine well the lengths that Seth Rollins will go to keep his title. What's he saying? Do you know what he was saying? I don't know what he was saying. He appeared to be conflicted, but who cares? Because that face is so damn sexy! Oh! Made a great mistake, Corey. Now, I would just like to take this moment to personally thank Corey Graves for letting us fans know that at Extreme Rules, there is more on the line for Seth Rollins, Universal Champion, and Becky Lynch, the Raw Women's Champion, who are in a relationship, by the way, than there is for big baldy bastard Baron Corbin, who has no championship, and Lacey Evans, who has no championship, and big baldy bastard Corbin, and Lacey Evans, who of course are not in a relationship. Thanks for that, Corey. That really needed clearing up, it did. Did you get a chin? Listen for that, Corey. Can't do Billy Kay's voice. Made a grave mistake, Corey. And here's a direct quote from Corey Graves from last night's Raw. A lady killer like Baron Corbin. Now, I said this on the Cultaholic Wrestling podcast last week, and I know that as I'm stood here right now, I could well be the ugliest, fattest, most grotesque man on YouTube, but I don't care. In my opinion, big baldy bastard Baron Corbin in the face looks like your hand. When you do that, put a pair of googly eyes there, and that looks like big baldy bastard Baron Corbin's physog. Not sexy, Vince McMahon. Not at all. Puppet stalking returned once again, and I believe this is the second time in 2 weeks that The Miz has been stalked. First of all, by Abby the Witch, and second of all, by Mercy the Buzzard. So what does that mean? Is The Miz going to be the new Bray Wyatt's first victim? If he is, that makes sense to me, more than it does Aleister Black, because if Aleister Black and Bray Wyatt face each other, they can't lose, can they? Either man. So there, The Miz, eat him, Bray. Hashtag, space, 2, space, out, space, of, space, 3, space, falls. I don't think the person who put that thing together there understands how hashtags work. And speaking about not knowing how social media works, could you imagine working for WWE 2 days removed from the latest AEW show and you put that on WWE's official Instagram? Oh! And next up we have The Miz with a figure 5, or maybe a figure 5.25, or maybe even a figure 5.5. I'm not giving it more than that. And I don't know about you, but I reckon Charlotte Flair was getting her crown, she's a queen, isn't she, at the ready to cry foul and gimmick infringement until she realised that The Miz cannot build very high bridges. Damn, you got lucky there, Seth. Was anybody else thinking that Becky Lynch grabbed Seth Rollins' architect live on international TV until they zoomed out and revealed that it was actually Becky grabbing his hand? Go back and watch it, it looked really sinister, but it wasn't, so why have I mentioned it? I don't know. How about me and my bitch take on you and yours? Wapow. Now it would appear that Blondie's massive rip-snorting hit from back in the day called Maria was written about Maria Kanellis. I only know the first verse, and that fits Maria Kanellis in that moment there, so if the rest of it doesn't, oh well. And of course, credit to Mike Kanellis, the kinky bastard, for just standing there and flexing his tits when Maria called him his bitch. I mean, I would love to be Maria. Shades of the Basham Brothers from Paul Heyman's SmackDown from way back in 2003 or whatever. That's what we need in WWE in 2019. Really good thing, Corey. So just after Maria called Mike her batch, Michael Cole was up in arms. He couldn't believe his ears. He didn't want to repeat what Maria just said because it was so bloody rude. But then we have the delightful moment that was Corey Graves swooping in there and asking Michael Cole, "What's the matter, Cole? You're not got any kinks?" I ruffled, but then I was sick because I thought about the potential kinks that Michael Cole has, which includes Triple H's WrestleMania entrances, John Bradshaw Layfield, and Heidenreich. I'm pregnant! I mean, I'm not actually pregnant. I may have the body of a pregnant woman, but it's Maria, who is apparently pregnant. She might be, but she might not be, as the 1990s came back with a vengeance. And misses. That's all I've got to say about it. Mike is shocked. He didn't know how Maria could be pregnant, so he asked how. Maria then replies, "I don't know, Mike. You're not man enough to make me pregnant." Even though in real life, Mike Kanellis has already filled the fallopian tubes of Maria full of his own semen. So that made no sense. And then Maria's all like, "The only man in this ring tonight, Mike Kanellis, was the man. Becky Lynch, maybe I should get her to impregnate me." And just like Mike was before, I'm asking Maria, how's that going to work? If Maria is really pregnant in real life, this was weird. If Maria Kanellis is not really pregnant in real life and was just using this as an excuse, as a heel, to get out of this match before firing up her no-good, useless cook soy boy for boyfriend to be good at wrestling once again, it's still really weird. Even though, and I can't believe I'm going to say this, it was so dirty, so bottom-feeding, trash bag storyline canon bollocks, it was kind of refreshing. Because we never see that anymore, do we? I can't believe I've just said that, but you know what I mean. Please say you know what I mean, please. But at the end of the day, I feel like this was the only segment that Vince McMahon was given 100% control over during last night's Raw, and look what happened. God. And next up we have Corey Graves saying it's a horrible feeling when the whole world thinks they know something about you, but it's not true. It hit home, that one did. Ding dong Corey. And next up we have a sign which told us the big baldy bastard Baron Corbin's butt rocks. Each to their own, because his face certainly does not, in my opinion. Damn it, look at those bonds! He's packing junk inside that trunk, and he's making me work really hard! Oh, so it turns out that a referee coming out from gorilla position to correct another referee's mistake inside the ring can happen more than once every year. But here's a question for you, WWE. Why the hell doesn't it happen every single time there is a mistake made by an official in one of the old rings? Why just some of the matches and not some of the others? Why don't you bring in VAR? Or even better still, why don't you hire Kurt Hogan as the only official in WWE, because he proved back in January during a tag team match between the Revival and Gable and Rude he's the best referee ever to wear the zebra shirt in a WWE ring ever. And we have to end with this being a final WTF moment, because apparently the club reforming AJ Styles turning heel has to be a WTF moment, because all of you at home tweeted me saying so. But I'm here to say, people who watch this stuff, no, the sign was there all night. Gallows was wearing that shirt with all the three men's names on the back of it. So, yeah, there. So that's it for all your WTF moments from last night's episode of WWE Raw. And as I said at the start of the video, it was a step in the right direction. We'll have to see how things progress as the weeks and the months go on. Tonight, apparently, at SmackDown Live, Eric Bischoff will be there, but he's not taking full control of the show. So we'll have to see if anything changes there, but it might not do. So yeah, there we go. Thanks for watching. Let us know what you think in the comments below. You can follow us on Twitter at Cultaholic. You can find us on Facebook at facebook.com/Cultaholic. And if you enjoy what we do here at Cultaholic, you can pledge to our Patreon page, patreon.com/Cultaholic. Hit subscribe and join us.